Hello, and welcome to the Lee Whyberd Hour, sponsored by Harley Street Skin. In this bi-weekly series, Lee and Lesley Reynolds will be bringing you a show of spiritual exploration. Together with Lee and Lesley, you'll explore the mysteries of the afterlife and share stories of hope, healing, and connection with loved ones who have passed. Whether you're a seasoned spiritualist or just curious about the world beyond our own, this show is something for everyone. Over the course of our journey together, Lee and Lesley will be speaking with some of the most renowned mediums, psychics, and spiritual teachers from around the globe, as well as celebrities from stage and screen. We'll delve into topics such as past lives, energy healing, and the power of intuition, and explore how these concepts can help us navigate the challenges of our daily lives. But most importantly, we'll be creating a safe and welcoming space for all who join us. We believe that everyone has the ability to connect with spirit, and we're here to help you tap into your own unique gifts and intuition. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of spirit together.
Hello, Lesley. How are you, darling, today?
Hello, Lee. I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for a most amazing weekend. I've just spent the weekend in Ballindon Hall with Lesley, everyone. And we had a wonderful person, Craig, Royal Marine Commando, was with us because we were organising our upcoming retreat. So thank you for the hospitality, Lesley. It was lovely as always.
Lovely to see you.
Lesley, I'm going to introduce our guest today because I'm really excited to speak to her. Her name is Gail Porter, and I believe you know Gail Porter.
I do know Gail. She's lovely.
And there's so much I want to speak to Gail about because she works spirituality. So, Gail, welcome to the Lee Whyberd Hour. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so incredibly much. And do you know what? I spoke to Lesley's husband. Well, I spoke to Lesley and Lesley's husband at the weekend because I wasn't feeling too well. And they took time out to have a chat with me. So much appreciated.
You're really welcome. You're really welcome. You feeling better?
I am actually. Yes, yeah. I am feeling better. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Gail, let's talk about you. Let's find out about you. Now, I know you've been an actress, a model, and a presenter. And when did it start for you, Gail? What made it all start for you?
I kind of don't really do anything well. So I kind of, I started out behind the scenes. I used to make tea on productions like Taggart. I used to make sandwiches. And then, I was a runner. So I was just literally doing everything on productions, apart from doing anything really worthwhile. So I was babysitting, just doing everything a little bit weird, and I didn't get paid, which was fine. It was like, my mum always said, it's life building, it's life assuring. You'll learn from it. And I was like, I'm sleeping on a sofa. She's like, yeah, get over it. And I was like, okay. And then one of the directors one day said to me, he said, oh, do you know what? You get on so well with the kids that you babysit for. There's an audition happening for a children's TV show, and we think you'd be great for it. You should audition. I was like, no, I'm not. It's not me. And they went, do you know what? Go along. What's the worst that could happen? And then so I went there, and there's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people all dressed in neon and going, woo, yeah, yeah. And I was thinking, oh gosh, no, this is awful. And I went in, and I think because I worked behind the camera, I wasn't afraid of the camera. I wasn't afraid of people working behind the camera. And it was kind of like, okay, here's what I can do. That's what I'll do, blah, blah, blah. And then I blinking got the job. And I was like, oh, gosh. So I had to go back into the pub that I was working in. And I said, well, I've got a job on the telly. They're going, no, you haven't. I was like, yeah, I'm working on the telly. And they went, can you do Thursday? And I was like, well, yeah, I can do Thursday. Yeah. So it's kind of like I was working in a pub because you never give up your sort of, normal jobs because I think this could just be a wee thing. And I don't know. So I think the fact that I've had that kind of laid back attitude to the whole industry has made my life, well, I mean, it's been up and down, but it's made it a bit more simple because I think, well, do you know what? I can pull a pint, so that's not a problem if I need a job.
Yeah.
The only thing is I need a box if I need to get the spirits because I'm only 5'1".
I used to own nightclubs and nightclub bars. I sold my last one 6 years ago, so that was the one thing that I was very good at. Was the barman, being the bar. I think being the barman and the showman. And what we done, we turned. I ended up doing drag shows, and I don't like dressing up as a drag queen. Nothing against them, but it takes a long time. And every Thursday I had to do a drag night. And it kept the people coming in. And I would dread it because I had to shave my chest, I had to shave my legs, I had to put the contacts in. I'll show you photos. My stage name was Madame.
The best thing about having alopecia, I don't have to shave anything. I win. I do love a drag night out, I must admit, but it must take so long to get ready.
It used to take, and I had to get like people who was professional doing makeup, because what had happened, Gail, it grew and grew and grew. So this little show that I was putting on once a week ended up having, or the bikers used to come to it. It used to be rammed because everybody. I would walk down the street and people would shout out, "Madame, are you working tonight?"
You're very talented, Lee. You really are. Multifaceted.
I love that. I love someone to shout that to me. I was like, I'll get back to you.
I went from that when I started doing the mediumship, of course, because you're doing stage performances then. I think you're right, Gail, because it put me in a place where I was petrified before you go on stage doing the mediumship. But it put me, I was used to being the showman. So it made it easier for when I started doing my stand-up clairvoyance. Gail, you've done spiritual work as well, haven't you?
Yes, I did a show called Dead Famous in America. We started that, I think, 14 years ago, and we did 4 seasons. And I mean, that was amazing. It was, it was me and a medium called Chris Fleming, and we fought like cat and dog because, he'd get possessed one minute, and I was just like, "Oh my God, this is nonsense." And he's like, "No, I'm Marilyn Monroe." And I was like, "No, you're not." So we kind of had that sort of on-off thing, and then we sort of balanced it out, and he stopped getting possessed as much. And then we ended up doing a program called Spooked Scotland. So I got to go and investigate. Oh, Lesley, you've obviously been up to Scotland, but it was like you go to all the castles and you go to the palaces, like that are just the most beautiful places. Yeah. But in the middle of the night, there's nobody there. And they go, right, everyone just go outside, and there's only about 5 of us. And they go, just go outside and see if there's any ghosties around.
Did you feel anything, Gail? Did you feel any spiritual presences?
All the time. Yeah. And at first, when I was in America, I was very, I was really just thinking, oh, this is all nonsense, because I didn't understand it all. And because it was a show. And so there seemed to be lots of people overreacting about things. And I was thinking, is this real? But then the more I got into it, the more I was thinking, do you know what? Something's not quite right in this room. Something is, lights were coming on. And then there was one day I came home and my door opened at 2:00 in the morning, and I don't have windows open. I live in London. You can't have windows open. No. So the door opened. My cat was running around like crazy. And I felt, like a dent on the bottom of my bed. And my cat was downstairs, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I got a phone call from one of the mediums, and about an hour later, so it's about 3:00 in the morning, but they're Americans, so, it's different time. So it wasn't too weird. But he said, "Is everything all right with you?" And I said, "There's something in my house." And he said, "Just to let you know, we think something might have attached itself to you."
Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, Lee. And and I said, I've never felt, it always feels like something is in the house. And ever since we had that conversation, every night, 2:00 or 3:00 in the morning, my door opens.
Yeah.
And I'm not scared. My friends don't stay at my house. They come in and they're like, "Oh, no, we're not staying here."
It still happens. Is it still happening?
Yeah, every night.
What is that, Lee? How do you explain it?
The funny thing is, Gail, I'm going to come on to two things that you just said. When you just said, you didn't understand it at the beginning, they were being quite performing, the people was overdoing it. I don't like that, because spirit will come in. If you want spirit to come in a place, spirit will come in. Because a producer said to me one day, what would you do to prove about spirituality? I said, get me a haunted place and put me in there on my own. Put the cameras in there. I don't want anybody else. I wouldn't need anybody else in there. You could put the cameras in there and I would sleep in the most haunted house. Because if you torment the spirits, they will tip over things. You can get a spirit to do more for you if you speak to them with respect. Because at the end of the day, they were us on the earth, and they like respect. What happened for Gail, Lesley, is because she was working so much spiritually, her channel was opening. She was going into places. She started picking up on the energy, and a spirit of attached itself to her, not in a bad way. It attached itself because he likes her, likes her energy, and he learns from her. So it's like when a child keep on seeing their friend. And, when you have little ones and they say, I can see my friend, what it is it's a child that have passed away, and they attach themselves to another child because they're learning off the child. They didn't know what it was like to go to the toilet because they had died in a young age, because normally they're always younger. So they learn. So what happened with Gail? Gail had bought something from whichever house or a castle, and Gail had brought it home, and he lives with Gail.
I definitely think that something is in the house, and I think it is a child, because it feels a little bit playful, and it feels a little bit kind of, people think it's a little bit crazy, but it feels like it just is happy. It's happy.
Yeah.
Happy that the cat's running around. It's happy it's in the house. It's happy that I've got, I've got daft Star Wars toys and stuff. And do you know what? Sometimes I've got toys and, I love my Star Wars. And if you press them, they might say something like, oh, yes, the R2-D2. But they'll go off in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And the cat's
what happens is when we die, so as you all know, the stories of where people are sitting in the bed and they put their arms up because they can see their loved ones spiritually, when they're towards the end of their life. So spirit comes to collect you. So spirit will come to collect you. But if you don't go, if you fight with them after you've died and you don't go, you were stuck. You're stuck on the earth. But there's no such thing as time. So what could be 50 years to us would be like 50 seconds to them. So
it's like Groundhog Day for them. It's like Groundhog Day. They could just keep going and going.
Yes. And they will stay. And like Gail have got a child that's working. I feel it's a girl actually, Gail, that you go with.
I think it's a girl. I definitely think it's a girl. And it happened when I was in Edinburgh in the vaults. You know the vaults in Edinburgh?
Yeah.
Which is like everyone was underground. And when, they had the horrible poverty and everyone was living underground and loads of children were there. And I just went to this one spot and I felt not unwell. I burst into tears. And the psychic was like, oh my gosh, there is someone over there and it's a little girl. And I said, I don't know what it is, but obviously because I've got a little girl myself. Well, when I say little, 5'10", 21, whatever. But I could just feel, it's almost like I was having a hug and it made me cry. And I was like, I think I need to get out of here. And everyone was backing away. And I thought, no, I'll stay. Shall I stay? I don't know. And then I stayed for a bit. And then, REM pods, Lee. Yeah. So they put a REM pod in the middle of the room and everyone left and it just did not stop. And I was right in the corner and they gave me a REM pod to bring to my house. So I put it on my stairway every night, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. The REM pod's like, and I'm in bed. And I was like, okay.
They knock for me. There's a very unusual knock, Lesley, if they want your attention. So the knock is not like a normal knock like that. It's like a clicking knock. It's a knock with a click. And if they want my attention, They will do that. And normally they do it in my kitchen, because my kitchen, where I'm staying at the moment, you can open these doors up and it goes into the kitchen. I always got the doors open. And I always know they want to tell me something because they start knocking.
Well, I get that in my bedroom here in Ballington. So my bedroom door's closed, and my dressing table's looking out over the grounds, but the door is to my left-hand side, and I hear a knock, and I say, "Come in." Yeah. And then eventually it knocks 3 or 4 times, and I wonder if it's one of the grandchildren. So I go and open the door, and there's nobody there, nobody at all.
Well, that's someone that
somebody does come up within about 5 or 10 minutes. Somebody else does come, but it feels like it's a spirit. But at first I was terrified and I didn't like it at all. But actually, I don't mind now. I just say, "Come in."
I understand why you get frightened, Lesley, because I mean it's a bit weird. Now, if I came home and my door wasn't opening and things weren't happening, I feel pretty lonely. Where have you gone? Why have you left me?
And the grandchildren's toys, we've got lots of toys here, and sometimes they will go off. And another thing, I don't think I've told you this, Lee, sometimes the doorbell goes. There's nobody there, nobody at all.
Yeah.
So,
that's someone put your attention, probably just you. So it doesn't happen to anybody else, just you, Lesley.
No, it does happen. It happens to, we've got a housekeeper here, because the house it was built in 1597, I think.
Oh my God, when you come for a midnight hound.
Yeah, well, the housekeeper hears it as well, and he says often the toys will go off, the doorbell will ring, you're going to knock. I don't know. My
TV goes off as well. So if I'm watching TV and it gets to I've got insomnia, it gets 2:00, and I'm not paying attention to the door opening or whatever. Then I'll watch something, and the TV will just go off, and I was like, I just want to go, for goodness sake, seriously? And I put it back on again, and then it'll go off again. And I was like, at first I thought it was an electrical fault, and now I think it's just games. But I don't like
it sometimes. Yeah, the lights in the main hall, it's a Tudor hall, and sometimes the lights just go off just for a flicker, and then they come back on again.
Because they can use electricity.
Yeah. Is that to get our attention, Lee? Is it to get attention?
Yeah. They use. See, if they don't do activities to me, I say to them, "What's wrong? Why?
Where are you?"
Yeah, I say to them, "What's wrong? Why aren't you coming?" And then I have in my mind, because they don't need me to do anything.
Maybe they're just comfortable and they're happy. So I think sometimes, because I think I've got a child somewhere, it's playful. But I think if you've maybe got an older spirit and they don't contact you for a bit, it's because they're settled. Like your grandpa sitting with his bag of KP nuts and having a cigar or something. It's like, yeah, all right.
See, with me, Gail, I see, feel, hear, taste, smell. So I know the smell of the person who's with me. So if I walk in, and it's very funny, but my father's mother, we didn't have a lot to do with her, God rest her, but she always used to burn paraffin.
Paraffin?
Paraffin, yes. I say the heater, yes. And
right, I thought you said randomly. I was like, that's weird.
And when I used to walk into a house, that's all you could smell was that. And when she comes, very seldom she comes, but when she comes, I can smell it. It will waft past me. And my grandmother used to always use Lesley, my other grandmother, the Flora disinfectant. What is it called?
The Flora?
Yes. My mother's mother used to always use that, and I know if my grandmother's around, I can smell it.
My grandfather used to smoke old Holborn, and I still got his old Holborn tins. But sometimes, the roll your own cigarettes.
Oh,
no,
right.
It's a roll your own cigarette. And I've got one of his old tins still. I mean, he died in 1971, so it's for years. But sometimes I would just get a waft of old Holborn. And I think, am I imagining that, or is pop here? No,
it's one of the senses. When I teach, because I teach a lot in the Middle East scale. When I teach, or when I do it in Ballington as well, Lesley, I teach a thing is called memory. So what happens with memory is I take you in your mind in a place where you get a memory of someone you loved that had passed away. But in that, I want you to see what you can smell, what you can taste, what you can hear, what you can feel. So I make you do the 5 senses and see it. I'll have to do it for you one time, Lesley.
I'd love to do it, yeah.
I make my own things up, Gail, because I run different classes. And that's one I made up, and it's called memory. And then when you get that person in that memory, they can smell and feel and taste. Then I can work out how far they are spiritual. So if someone can't get none of it, really they're not working spiritually. But you'll find the people that are really interested spiritually, you can tell by just doing that one thing with them.
That's interesting. So what is it when you feel someone? I often feel like somebody is standing really close to me, like really, really close. That's a spirit, isn't it?
That's them shadowing you to show you they're there. So they're overlooking you just to show you they're there. Their presence is there. I lay in bed some night. I just lost someone very close in last August, Gail. Somebody extremely close to me. But what the beauty of it is, Gail, I was with him when he died, and 4 hours later he came back to me at home. And then in the nights when I go to bed, not every night, I feel his handprint on my back. And I'd say, if that is you, take your hand off and put it back on. I don't move, I stay as I am, and I feel that print put straight back on my back, and I say, thank you, good night. So I know, and I feel that, like someone sat on the mattress and the mattress slightly go down. And what I do to test it is I try to pull the quilt, and I only got a lightweight quilt. I tried to pull the quilt, and the quilt won't move. And I'd say,
that's what I get. I get someone sitting on the bed, and I try and pull my quilt up, and I don't know who it is. We've got no idea, but the quilt will not move, and it always happens again, 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Don't know who it is, but the bed will just go down, and I think the cat's jumped on the bed, and I look down, and the cat's downstairs, and I'm like, so who's on the bed? And I try and put the quilt up, and it will not move, and I think, well.
Do you talk to her, Gail, this little girl?
Yeah. I mean, literally, I haven't named her because I feel it's not my place. Because I don't. Yeah, I just say, well, do you know what? It's my house. You're welcome. Do whatever you want. And
she's 7 years old.
I thought she was about. Yeah, I thought she was about 6 or 7.
She's 7 years old. She also, Gail, she's got I want to call it, she's got the Scottish, like the way back, the Scottish ginger hair, but it's not a light ginger hair. It's a very dark ginger hair. Very, very, I would say more of a ready looking ginger, just for you to know, because that is who's, it's always nice.
That's actually what I had in my mind. I thought she's a little one, 6 or 7. I know that she's involved in the whole plague and everything in Scotland back in the day when they were all starving and they were having to do awful things and live in terrible conditions. And I thought she's got I thought it was a dark red hair, and I don't know what her name is. And it's, as I say, it's not my place. I always think when it comes to spirits, you don't name them. I always say, do you know what? This is my house, my house, your house.
And you're welcome. Yeah.
I live
sometimes. If I feel them, I say, look, I live here, but I'm happy for you to live here, but let's not interfere with each other, just so that we can all live here happily. But can I ask you, Gail, when you were doing the Haunted program in America, did you feel it affected you very much?
Well, when I was in America, that was the sort of learning curve, like Lee will tell you. So I didn't know what I was doing. And I was thinking, I went in as a complete skeptic, and I was like, this is nonsense. This is weird. And also when you go to America, it's times 1,000. So it's not like a normal, I can talk to Lee and we can discuss things. Whereas in America, everyone's psychic. They're all psychic. Yeah. You can literally go and pay $10 to speak to your nan, while you're going to the 7-Eleven to get a quick can of Coke. So it's very difficult to deal with that sort of situation. Yeah. Just think, well, you're not teaching me anything, and you're all psychic, and we've been hanging out with Marilyn Monroe, but we haven't, and what? But then the more we got into it, there were certain places we went, and when everyone started calming down and we had a smaller bunch of people around us, then I started thinking, oh, something is not great here, or something is really trying to talk or something. And then, so it was nice. It was a learning curve. You learn every day. Yeah. So you go from going, this is nonsense, to suddenly thinking, no. I was doing a gig last week. I can't remember where it was, but I walked into the house and I went, oh my gosh. And the lady at the reception, she's like, are you okay? And I said, yeah. I said, this is beautiful. I said, but you know what? There's a man at the top of the stairs there. And she went, what? And I went, I'm sorry. I just saw a man at the top of the stairs, but he's not here. And she went, how do you know that? And I said, well, I just saw him, but he's disappeared. And she went, we don't tell anyone about that because there's a ghost here, but we don't tell anyone because we don't want anyone not to come and stay. How did you know that? And I just saw him. And I was like, so
what was the gig, Gail?
Oh, I'm doing stand-up. I'm trying to make people laugh.
Well done.
That's good. Laughing is good.
Exactly. After all my dramas, it can't get any worse. So I thought, do you know what? I'll go for the laughter.
Do you know, I done a stand-up. It was in Brecon in Wales, in a hotel, and it was a absolutely beautiful night. It was packed. It was the atmosphere, spirit was shooting through, the messages was flowing. So I was asked to do one there's a castle with a hotel onto it in the same town.
What was the town?
This was about 8 years ago. And you know, the atmosphere in that castle was awful. Spirit didn't want to come in, and I realized I was in the part where they had been beheaded people in the years gone. It was one of those nights where you feel like you're pulling teeth. When you said about seeing that man, Gail, Lesley asked me a question once. Where did it all start for you? Because my mother was the same, my grandmother. We would see people walking down our stairs, and I'd say to my mother, oh, there's a man in a dark brown suit walking down the stairs. She'd say, oh, that's okay, that's Uncle so-and-so. So for us, it was just a norm. If we seen something, it was just a normal. It actually was strange if you didn't see something. My middle brother used to be petrified. And my middle brother used to run and hide, where I used to think, oh, it's nice.
Were you scared? Were you ever scared as a child of it? Never.
Never. So, Gail, have you done seances when you've done the filming?
I've done seances, voodoo. I've got. I ended up in New Orleans in a voodoo priest's house, and but it was good voodoo. We were like giving good vibes to people, and he was really nice. I mean, so have you got time for a wee tiny story, which is quite funny? So we went to New Orleans, and this was just before the floods. So bless New Orleans, the horrible time they had, but before the floods. So we were doing Dead Famous. So the entire crew had to go to this hotel and check it out and do, a recce and make sure that, they've got all the film. So they said to me, because I'm a wanderer, I'm just one of those people that gets into trouble. I don't mean to, not bad trouble. They left me in the hotel and they said, Gail, you've got 2 hours, okay? So what you have to do not leave the hotel. Do not go down to the voodoo district. Don't speak to strangers and don't do anything insane. And I was like, okay, bye. So in my mind, I was like, leave the hotel, go to the district, speak to strangers, do something insane. So I was like, I went, don't leave. I was like, no. And then as soon as they went, I left. And I went straight down to the voodoo district. And I met a voodoo priest. And he said, there's something about your aura. As I was walking past, and that's the sort of thing that you tell children, never speak to strangers. Whereas me, I was like, I'm a grown up. I was like, oh really? And he said, I'm a voodoo priest, and it's my 16th birthday, and my voodoo priestess wife is in the house. Would you like to come in? I was like, yeah. So I went in. And so she's sitting there with a big python round her neck, and there's like animals everywhere. And he said, "Oh, I do tattoos. Would you like a tattoo for my birthday?" And I was like, yeah, okay. And he said, "Can I just do whatever I want?" And I was like, "Yeah, crack on. It's not." I'm sitting there getting tattooed by this priest, which was a very nice tattoo. It's a dragon or something. Don't know. It meant something to him. And then the priest was like, "Do you want to eat any food?" I was like, "Well, probably not, because I think I've like overstepped the mark a tiny bit." So, and then I turn up at the hotel where everyone's filming, and I've got like loads of cellophane around my arm because they have to protect the tattoo. And they went, "Which part of don't leave the hotel did you not do?" And I was like, "So basically." Okay, look at the voodoo district. Here's a voodoo doll, but it's a good voodoo doll, and I've got a massive tattoo. But it was a voodoo priest's 60th birthday. They went, "Gail, it's 2 p.m. I was like, "I know."
I would do the same as you, Gail. If someone says, "Don't go down," I've got to find out why I'm not to go there.
Don't press that. Okie dokie.
So did you do seance in Scotland or in England as well?
I did seances Scotland, England, America, Alcatraz.
Alcatraz.
Oh, I'd love to go. I love that.
We went to San Francisco. We went to Alcatraz. 5 of us. We stayed there 2 nights with no security or anything. That was incredible.
Did you have things being thrown around?
Oh, yeah, things move around. Because I know that there was a program on the telly box. I'm not going to name it, but you're going to know who it is. But there was a psychic on it who's now no longer with us. But they used to chuck stuff. Like they get the camera people to chuck stuff. And you could tell, watch it. Whereas we didn't have that. Like our lot were really interested. And because it never happened very often. Nothing would, whereas if you watch that program on the television every day, something was moving, something was whereas if something moved with our lot, everyone suddenly huddled together going, "Was that you? Was that you? Was that you? Oh my God. Are we all going to stay in the same room?" Oh,
it spoils it because you can get spirit to do the activities. They enjoy doing the activities. Do you know, once I had 2 celebrities come and I threw a seance, and I had a 5 foot by 5 foot. It was a hard plastic table with the wrought iron legs because the spirit won't move a huge oak table. And it was going around the room. There was about
like table tipping.
No, it was more than table tipping. Because table tipping, we do that. But this was, the table was going around the room, moving right around the room. And everybody was only allowed to put their fingers very lightly on it for the energy. And one of them looked under the table because they thought he was on wheels because he was going that fast.
Really?
So, because when I do a seance, I make sure I got the right mixture. And if you got the right mixture with you, spirit will move anything. I sometimes will do a light seance in Ballington Hall. It is absolutely amazing, Lesley. When you see spirit moving the small coffee tables, making them walk, I say to them, "Walk for me then." I have them levitating off the ground. The big tables is always good to have the big tables because people scream when that starts moving for them. Because what I do, Gail, is I make everybody sing to it. Because if they want spirit to work, you've got to give spirit your energy. So you sing to them. You don't need to throw things around. You don't need to pretend.
I've got a Ouija board upstairs. And my friend came into my house and she went, "Is that a Ouija board?" And I was like, "Yeah." She went, "Get rid of it. Get out of the house now." She's like a very Scottish Catholic. She said, "Oh my God, this house is cursed." And I went, "No, it's not." And I said, and then she phoned me. She's like, "Is it out of the house? Have you put it in the bin?" And I was like, Yeah. No, I didn't.
But is it a Ouija board, Gail, or is it a spirit board? Because people get the difference.
What you explained the difference, but I got it in Salem because I went to where the Salem witch trials were. Have you been, Lee?
No.
Have you been, Lesley, to Salem?
No, I haven't. I've been to New Orleans a lot, but I've never been to Salem. It scares me.
Salem was a little bit terrifying. But yeah, I got it from one of the, he was like a head witch, like a Wiccan, but he wasn't a Wiccan. So I'm not entirely sure. There's so many names. So he gave me it. And everyone was like, I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that. And I was like, I'll love it. I'll take it home with my tattoo from New Orleans, and I'll take it home with a week. Yeah. Lovely. Goodness you didn't come to New Orleans with me. We'd be in a right bunch of trouble.
What the difference is, Gail, is you can get, you see, when people do a Ouija board, they put all the numbers around or the letters around, and they just get a glass and move it. So what they're doing is they're not protecting themselves. So you've got to protect the circle that you're working with. You've got to protect the space that you're in. You've got to have your spiritual doorkeepers. So we got doorkeepers that are like security, really. So you ask your spiritual doorkeepers to be there. Then you ask spirit to only allow in the good spirits. So with the Ouija board, where it all goes so wrong for people is because they don't understand what they're doing. So they're allowing anything in. Go on, Gail.
The amount of different energy from different people, it's not good. Do you know what? I know this sounds really weirdly, but sometimes I leave mine out when I go to bed, and I leave the little thing, and I leave it in the middle, and then sometimes I wake up, nothing's moved, and then sometimes I wake up and it'll be on an M. And I've not touched it. I don't involve anybody. I just leave it and see what happens.
I think you have got a spirit board, not a Ouija board, to be honest.
I think
with you.
Spirit boards, yeah.
I think it is, because there is all different types of spirit board. And I feel you've got a spirit board, my love.
It's quite nice, though. I quite like it. And I have to tell everybody, it's like, no, it's definitely not in the house. Yeah, no, the voodoo dolls have definitely gone.
Do they look the same? Does a spirit board and a Ouija board, do they look the same? Have they got different markings on them?
Do you know, normally, Lesley, to be honest with you, a Ouija board is what is the way they make them. A spirit board, a spirit board is where they've been designed properly. Some of them you can have air, water, you can have fire, you can have the horoscopes on there, you just have numbers on it. So spirit boards are the protective board. The Ouija board is where they haven't got a clue what they're doing, really, and how they're doing it.
The spirit board, Lesley, I think that when someone makes a spirit board, they've left something of themselves in it. There's energy in the board. It's not just something that you've just bought from being manufactured in Taiwan and you can buy it in anywhere.
Can I just ask you one thing, Gail, again? And that is, all the time I've known you, you've always worn that necklace or a ring. Has it got some kind of spiritual meaning to you?
Well, this is a kudu, which is a South African deer. It's really weird. When I wear it, I've got a big ring as well. When I wear it on the tube, people go, "Are you a devil worshipper?" And I was like, "No." I said, I work with animal charities, and I was lucky enough to work with kudus where their parents had been shot by poachers. And then I got to work with the babies that were left behind, and I used to have to feed them with big bottles, and I had the most amazing time. But I think because I'm bald as well, people just look at me and think, "Oh, she's wearing black, she wears a lot of silver, and she's got." And I was like, no, it's a beautiful, beautiful animal. So I just wear things that make me happy. It's like my little swallow, and I've got mum here that looks like I'm going to punch someone, but actually says mum on it. So the people that were my children, when my mum passed away, they sent me that, which I thought was really nice. People make assumptions when they look at people, and especially if you talk out about things like belief in spirituality and other worldly stuff, they just think, "Oh yeah, she's got a voodoo tattoo somewhere." I'm actually a really kind human, do you know.
Do you know, Gail, when we do one of our retreats in Ballindon, I'd love you to come and be a part of the retreat, because your spiritual energy would be amazing, really amazing.
You're very welcome.
I tell you what I want to ask you, speak to you both about. Blockages. Do you understand blockages, Gail?
Well, yeah, because I had constipation. No, I'm joking. Yeah, no, I understand. Like mental. sorry, Lesley. Too much information. I'm joking. Trying to keep the lively spirit up.
I like it. I like it.
Blockages, as in like spiritual blockages. I don't think I have any. I think I'm pretty open, and I think, you know what, when my dad passed away just before lockdown, and you know, my mum passed away when she was 60, and my grandparents passed away, they were all non-believers. Whereas grandpa was a bit like, I'll come back. But I think he just said that to keep me happy. But I think he does. But whereas I feel like my parents blocked it out. So I don't feel like they've ever come back. They've never.
They couldn't. He would have come back, Gail. He would have come back. He would have come back. He would have, his presence, if he said he's going to come back, he would have come back, because no one can.
Whereas my dad didn't believe in any of this. Whereas grandpa did. Whereas my dad didn't.
My father didn't. My father lived, breathed everything, because my mother was the same. My father used to say, there's no such thing as God. There's no such thing as this. My father's the first one to come through now. If I see, if a medium speak to me, my father's the first one at the door to tell me.
I have a fear of churches. So, you know, I'm an atheist, but I'm totally up for whatever you all believe in. As long as it's kind and it's wonderful, then I'm up for it. But I'm just an open book. I'm just like, I'll believe in Buddhism, I'll believe in this, whatever you want, as long as you're happy, but don't put me in a church. I am terrified of churches. I don't understand where that came from.
A former life?
Well, I always think something happened and I don't know what it is. Because I won't go to a wedding. I'll go to the party, obviously, love a party, but I'm not going not to the church.
That's interesting, Lee, isn't it?
Years ago, I done a seance in my hotel, and the reason I'm telling you about this is about blockages. There was 3 mediums. There was 3 of us there, and we invited all these people to do this seance. And you had to come down the steps to it. And the 3 mediums, all of us seemed to just walk to the one door at the same time. None of us spoke to each other. And we all looked at each other. And one of them said, did you see that? And I said, yes. And attachment. Somebody had brought this attachment in with them. But the attachment was, the energy was awful. So we knew we had to take the attachment out of the space. So the 3 of us had gone to the thing. We opened the door and we pushed out the attachment, as we thought. We done the seance. It was wonderful. I wanted to sell. It's a hotel and nightclub. I wanted to sell it. It was time for me to move on to working spiritually full time. And I wasn't advertising it, but things wasn't happening for it to sell. So I went to see a medium, and she said to me, you've got a really bad attachment, a blockage in the basement. She said, but you know where this blockage is. You know who the blockage is. Now, this is years later. I went down to the basement and I really wanted to find it. And what it was, Gail, is the person we took out of that seance that night. We just chucked him out. You opened the door, you called the dumb waiters, for the restaurant. We opened the door and just threw him out. And he was in we threw him into where the dumb waiter stuff was. He was stopping the set.
That's going
up and down, was he? Up and down.
Oh my God, that terrifies me.
In Ballingdon.
Do you have a dumbwaiter, Lesley, in your house? Do you have a dumbwaiter at all?
No,
Lesley, I haven't got a blockage there. There's not a blockage in.
Oh, that's a very nice feeling here. So it's really calm, isn't it? Peaceful.
This ghost, this spirit, I ended up moving, and I realized he was a very vicious spirit. He was very, very vicious, but I locked him in a space that he couldn't really affect too much. But what he was affecting, because he was mostly in the basement, in the foundation, he was stopping me. He was stopping me selling it. Gail, I cleansed him on the Friday out of the property, and I sold and completed on the Friday after.
Gosh,
meant.
from getting rid of.
Do you believe in these sage sticks that you light in the smoke and you go around the house?
I just bought one yesterday because everything was not going great last week. And I know where the shop is in West Hampstead in London. And I went in and I was like, I'll take some incense and I'll take something and I'll take 4 packets of sage, please. And she's like, is everything all right, Gail? And I was like,
what you got to do with them, if you just want to sage yourself, swing around 10 times around your head and then sage down through your body. But if you want to do the house, you've got to sage from the back to the front. And you do around every door frame and around, because spirit hides indoors, in corners of the window, things like that. So blockages as well. You can call them blockages, Lesley. So next time I come down, if you want to sage, I'll do the old build-in for you.
I like it. And is it good to do for you then, if you do it yourself around your head? And what does it do? What's the purpose of it?
It cleans all your aura, your energy. It cleans you all the way. It cleans everything off you.
I don't know if you've noticed sorry, Gail, I don't know if you've noticed in Ballington, Lee, but in a lot of the corners of the windows, I see little angels. And I also have a crucifix in some of the rooms that I've felt a bit like that. And do you think that helps as well? Yeah,
of course it does. It's all protection, isn't it? On my door here, I got a woman from Kenya. She bought it as a gift for me. She made it, and I got all eyes. It's all eyes going down, beads and eyes. And I got the third eye on my door. Every house I go to, because I move a lot, Gail. Every house we've been in, that follows with me. And I carry in my bag, I carry a third eye a big third eye, and I put a third eye on my neck. I've had this on my neck 30 years.
And
if
I think it's a Middle Eastern thing, the third eye. Is it something that a lot of Middle Eastern people wear? Isn't it? Yeah.
Well, with the Middle East,
your third eye is supposed to be in the middle of your forehead. Is that right?
Yeah. With the Middle East, Lesley, there's a lot of black magic. So they all do. They all have the third eyes and things like that because of the black magic so strong there. On to a nicer note of the black magic. Gail,
I've got some stories I could tell you about things that I dealt with black magic wise, but I'm not going to tell you because it's just too upsetting to even think about. But I'm not dead, so I always think that's a good thing.
Yeah. So, Gail, what is the next thing you're gonna do? What is Gail's career going to be now? Will you do the spirituality stuff again?
Yeah, so I'm doing my stand-up tour, which is going to go on until October. So I'm back on tour on Thursday. I think I'm in Monmouth on Thursday, and then I'm doing I think I'm doing Stirling, Kirkcaldy, I don't know, loads of places, and I'm backwards and forwards. And then from March the 6th, I'm doing a paranormal tour. So I'm in Richmond Theatre on March 6th. So if you're free, Lee and Lesley, you are more than welcome.
I'm in the Middle East. I'm in the Middle East, or I would have come to that.
Oh, we're both in the Middle East then, aren't we, on the 6th?
Yeah.
I've never been to the Middle East.
Oh, that's a shame.
But no, but the thing is, I think we've got about 10 dates. So it's just because the first one is in Richmond Theatre on the 6th of March. And it's kind of, I'll be doing the same sort of stuff that I was doing in Spook Scotland. I'll be in the middle. You're going to have psychics. You're going to have people that don't believe in anything. You're going to have people that do tarot readings. You're going to have people. And then also we involve the audience and going, do you have a story? And then we can all discuss it and go, what do you think? Do you think that's real? Do you think that's a ghost? Do you know what? And I'll tell you. So I'm really interested. So there's no script. There's no nothing for me.
I love that.
Oh, yeah, me too. Because sometimes when you get a script, I start to panic and I think, oh, I need to learn other people's words. So that's a great thing about being stand-up. It's like I can just do what I want. No one cares. I think it's going to be great fun. I think it's going to be. I love people getting involved because when I was doing stand-up in Edinburgh, I was extremely nervous, thinking this is a terrible idea. But you know, I don't really like working on the telly box. There's nothing like back in the 90s. I used to love tuning into Top of the Pops or something fun. Whereas now I just think, oh God, everything's really depressing. So I thought I'll do stand-up. That'll be great fun. And I got really nervous. But then on the last day of stand-up, and I was involving all the Edinburgh audience, and I was like, does anyone want to say anything? And obviously, the last day of the Edinburgh Festival, there was like a whole bunch of nans that had come out, and they'd had a few glasses of wine. And so I was like, anyone want to say anything? They're going, I'll tell you something, Gail. I will tell you this right now about the planet. And I was like, oh gosh. And it was like, literally, going, can we come on the stage and take the microphone? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, we have to be off in like 5 minutes. I go, no, I'll tell you something else, right? I was like, oh, I love it. It makes me so happy. And you can see the director going, you need to get them off. I went, I can't. It's too funny. So, but yeah, so doing all that, doing the paranormal, and then what else am I doing? I think that's enough, to be honest.
Yeah. So how long is the tour for, Gail?
It's going on till October.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. We'll definitely come and see you. Very uplifting.
Also, I'm doing a documentary with Prince William at the moment for Homewards charity, because I'm an ambassador for Centrepoint for homeless people. Oh, yeah. So Prince William donated a whole lot of money, bless him. And so me and him have been doing this documentary, which is weird. So it's like weird sitting up a cup of tea going, all right, Will. He's like, shut up. I was like, I know, weird, isn't it? I just wish my grandpa was alive, because you know what? If people are kind and they give money to my charities, I like them. I'm not a massive royalist. I'm not a massive anything. I'm all about kindness and giving and loving, and that's it. But it was really bizarre having a cup of tea in his garden. I kept laughing. He was like, what are you laughing at? I went, don't know. It's just weird, isn't it? I just he said, do you want to use the bathroom? And I was like, no. And I went, oh yeah, actually. And I said, just wanted to use it so I could take a photo. I came back out and I was like, William, I didn't actually need to. I just took a picture.
What got you into Centrepoint, Gail? Why? I think Centrepoint's a wonderful charity, but why did you get into that?
I was homeless for 6 months, about 7 or 8 years ago. So everything was going great. 90s were going great. Everything was fine. Then divorce, mum had passed away. Everything was going terrible. So I was paying the bills and there was no money coming in and no one wanted me because of the way that I looked. So I was asked to do lots of documentaries, but they were like, we're not going to pay you. We'd like you to encourage people to talk about being bald. And I was like, but I'm working nonstop and none of you want to pay me. So it just sort of like spiraled until it got to the stage I thought, I actually can't afford to pay the rent and no one wants to hire me because I look different and I wasn't wearing a wig. I mean, I've got one, but I didn't want to because I wanted to make a statement saying this is me and this is what's happened. You know, I lost my mom to cancer. She lost her hair through chemotherapy. I lost my hair. Well, do you know what? My mum said to me, do you know what, Gail? You haven't got alopecia. I was like, Mum, I do. It's alopecia. That's what it is. She went, no, the ghost took it away. No, I was like, no, they didn't. She went, yes.
You look beautiful, though. You look beautiful as you are.
Oh, thank you. I love my wig. It's great, but I'm just not used to it. So, but yeah, she was like convinced that she's like, if you mess with the ghosties, they're going to take your hair.
I think if you accept yourself as you are, and if you're happy as you are, it doesn't matter. And you have women these days that crop their hair very short. Look at models, how we've changed. Models always had long hair. Now they want models with short hair.
I know, exactly. I'll be in fashion at some point. Who knows? But that's the reason I got involved with Centrepoint, because I was homeless and then I was too embarrassed to tell anyone. And I was sitting, I slept on a bench in Hampstead Heath and then I was sleeping on people's sofas and I was just like, this is awful. And I don't know who to ask for help. And I didn't know about Centrepoint. And so eventually, after about 6 months, got myself back on my feet. I'm Scottish. We never give up. We never give up. So managed to do it. And then I found out about Centrepoint and then I got involved with them. And they've just been really inspiring. And they just made me really positive. And I thought, if I can do anything to help. And then when Prince William, his people. They said, or he wants to donate money to Centrepoint, and he knows that you're very passionate. Do you want to go for tea at Windsor? I was like, hang on 2 seconds. Yeah. I was on a bench in Hampstead Heath 8 years ago, and I was sitting having a cup of tea in Windsor like that. Yeah. Picture your toilet. Okay. Right. But yeah, he donated a huge sum of his own personal money, which is great, because I think one of the things that people were thinking about with like royalty and charity, they think, well, hang on a minute, they've got this, they've got this, they've got this, but then they're born into it, so they can't just wander off and just go. So it's a really. I was one of those people who thought, well, do you know what? Get rid of one of the houses, do this. But once you get to know them, they were like, we can't do that. This is, born into it, and if we do something, so anyway, it's been a real learning curve, and so we're doing a documentary which I think comes out in June on ITV. I think there's lots of different people involved, so I'm going to go to Bournemouth to work with some families who are in really bad living conditions and addictions. I work with a lot of addictions and stuff. So
well done.
You do as much as you possibly can do, and you know what, I like not getting paid that much. Well, I don't like not getting paid, but I always think, do you know what, as long as I can pay my rent and I've got this roof over my head, I'm a very, very lucky human being.
You're happy. Yeah.
Well done, Gail. And sadly, ladies, we are coming to the end of the show, and it's been amazing.
So sorry. Okay.
And it's been very entertaining.
That's me. Ghosty keeps taking that off, isn't it?
It's been wonderful chatting with you, Gail. Lots of love.
Absolute pleasure. I'm glad we got it all together, and that's great.
Thank you to you all for listening. Please message Lee on Instagram at Lee_Whyberd. That's Lee_Whyberd. LEE_WHYBERD. And that's if you have any suggestions for topics to discuss, or you would like to inquire about a reading. Thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, stay curious and stay spiritual.